Hey everyone, this is Ian with Votocycling, and I have a video I would like to share with you guys today. Hopefully it will help some new players who's a little confused on how to find their technique. I just want to share how I found my technique. 6 years ago, finding YouTube videos about how to find your technique was a little scarce. There were some about tile snap, there were some about technique, and it was mostly from Ken Climo and the pros. Specifically, I think it was Dave Feldberg and Ken Climo were the ones that talked about the most. But as a new player, watching them throw, it's like, well, they can get it to go 300 feet with a putter. I don't know, I can't even control my putter to go straight, let alone 300 feet. So it was a little frustrating, and also the fact of the matter is that the pros were saying you should start out throwing the putters or the mid-range to learn your technique, or get distance, and then you're like, well, that's kind of strange because the distance drivers are for distance, so why would I throw a putter? So I got a little confused, and then so what I finally started understanding was that the distance drivers have a sharper edge to break through the wind easier compared to the putters that have a more dull edge, so that it can't break through the wind as well. But because the distance driver can break through the wind easy, it has more glide, and so it doesn't require as much power from me to throw. So I found out that I can throw this thing farther than a putter because I can put little power on it and it'll go far. But the fact of the matter is I didn't have my technique. And also what I found was that it was so hard to control the putters. And so I said, well, this is just frustrating. What even more got frustrating was that I started approaching with the distance drivers, and since it had so much glide, it would just literally fly past the basket and it wouldn't slow down at all. But the putter would. But the problem is that it's so uncontrollable that I would kept shanking it to the right, or it would hyzer out, and if it does fly flat, it would just wobbly, and it just didn't fly. It didn't have a smooth flight path for me, and so I even got more frustrated with that. So what I decided was one day was I decided to just practice with putters only on approach shots. And so I decided to take a stack of putters, and I left the distance drivers at home so that I didn't tempt myself. I took a stack of putters to an open field near my house. This open field has a racetrack around it, so it had asphalt around, and then it also had some trees and some light poles. So what I did is I took the stack of magnets, or at the time it was putters, I'm not sure if they were magnets, but I took a stack of putters and I went onto the asphalt and I stood with my feet like this, and everything was squared with my shoulder, but I did not move anything except for my arms. So I took the putter and I fixate on the light pole ahead of me, and I try to throw the putter down towards the light pole. And at first, the first couple days, all I did was just swinging my arm and letting the disc rip off my hand, whatever. And then what I discovered was, if I hold it too loose, the disc will rip out and hyzer really quick. If I hold it too tight, I would have a grip lock, and literally it would just turn over and start rolling. So then, when I finally got my grip down, where I had a firm grip and it would automatically rip off my fingers, then I discovered that my wrist was turning. So if I had my disc tilted up too much, the nose of the disc was tilted up, so therefore it would just catch air and it wouldn't go really far, and it would just hover down. So then I just started understanding my wrist movement and not turning my wrists at all when I'm releasing it. So then I started learning that I could put this on a flat line and it would go dead straight with just my muscle memory, my fingers, and my wrist. And then I started finding the muscle memory in my forearm and my upper arm. So this is all just arm movement. I'm not moving my body at all, just my arm, just swinging my arm. And after doing this for 100 times, at least, if not more, I started figuring out where my muscle memory was for the disc to get released and naturally rip out of my hand with just the force from the swing of my arm only. I discovered that it's actually a lot easier to control, and that's what the pros were talking about. They were saying that it's controllable because when I want to put on a hyzer, the same amount of muscle memory, but just put on a hyzer angle, it will hyzer and will stay on that line for the distance you want it to go. And then I also discovered that if I put on an anhyzer, it will stay on an anhyzer, and the same thing if I put it on a straight line, dead straight. So I was able to start getting this disc to go towards the pole. obviously just with just my arm swing I couldn't get it to go as far. So then I started incorporating my shoulders into the swing of the arm, and then I started incorporating my torso and my hips into the swing of the arm, and then I started incorporating my knees and then my feet into the arms. Then I started incorporating, you know, one step and then turn, one step and then turn. So then once I started incorporating all of that, each particular step, I found that I was able to get the putter to go farther and farther. You know, even if it was an extra 20 feet, it was going a lot farther than I could ever imagine that I could get a putter to go. So after doing that for about 500 bazillion times, that's how I found my technique. And you know, and then now my technique is a lot better than before, and with that technique that I found, I discovered that when I transferred that technique into the distance drivers, these drivers are going a lot farther than they ever did when I started playing. So what I discovered is that once I found that technique, the distance comes with it. Me being able to throw far comes with the technique. Me being able to approach with pinpoint accuracy comes with a technique that I found for myself. Me being able to throw my distance drivers, you know, these fairway drivers I can throw about 280 now, which is like unheard of when I first started playing. I mean, yeah, these are probably not as far as some of you can throw, and I apologize, it's hard for a girl to throw, okay? But, you know, I can throw my high-speed drivers now, 300, 350, so with technique, a lot of part of the game came with it, that was a lot easier to do than I ever could do when I started playing disc golf. Okay, so I hope this helps anybody who's starting out in disc golf. That's how I discovered my technique, was through throwing putters on an open field like forever. It does take a long time, but you'll be able to be more comfortable with your technique if you were to throw some putters, in my opinion. It just taught me my technique. I was forced to learn technique without having to go and throw distance drivers a lot. So I hope this helps. If you have any comments or questions, please leave it in the comment section, or message me. And this is Hien with Votocycling. I hope you enjoyed it. Until next time, I hope everyone has a wonderful day, and I will see you in the next video.